man, how you doing today? I can't hear you. How you doing? Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much for joining us for our wrestling Q&A. I have three esteemed professional wrestlers here. We have, on my right, Ted Dibiase, the $1 Million Man. And then we also have the Powers of Pain, Warlord, and the Barbarian. So we're just going to start out here. I'm Dr. Eric Busselman, psychology professor, full-time nerd. I love having conversations with cool people about things we enjoy. I've got an opening question here for the folks, and then we'll get to your questions. So, gentlemen, just kind of starting out, what's your wrestling origin story? What got you into the business?
Well, for me, I grew up in the wrestling business. My father was not only a professional wrestler. In 1946, I believe, he won the AAU National Heavyweight Wrestling title in collegiate wrestling. And then he went on from there out of the Navy and lettered in Nebraska 8 times, 4 years in football, 4 years in wrestling. And so our family owned. Back then, wrestlers moved around a lot. We call them territories, and but home was Omaha. So Omaha's really, everybody goes, where you from? I said, well, a lot of places, but I call Omaha, Nebraska, home. Then, now I live in Mississippi. That's another story. I grew up wrestling AAU. I was a 4-time national champion when I was young and that stuff. Kind of doing it for so long that I just kind of got burnt out for a while. I grew up in Minneapolis, so I watched a lot of AWA back then, Vern Gagne, all those people back then. And then when I got older, started working out and that stuff, I used to train at the gym. It's called Implement Medicine, the gym. And it's where the Road Warriors are part owners. And every time Animal would come home from the road, he would see me there and he'd come bug me about getting into wrestling. And every time, for about 6 different times, I said, I don't know, man, I really don't want to, you know. He had to keep coming. Finally, that 6th time, man, he talked me into it. And got me set up with Eddie Sharkey, who taught the likes of the Road Warriors, the Berserker, Rick Rude, just a lot of great talent that Eddie taught. And got involved in that, and my very first time, Animal told me to make up some pictures, which I look god-awful on these pictures. And he took them down to Dusty Rhodes and NWA, and Dusty said, bring them up. So a week later, I took off down for North Carolina, and got my first chance. So Animal, the Road Warriors, one that gave me my big start and everything.
Well, the way I'm not from here. I'm not American. I'm from Tonga, little island somewhere in the South Pacific. So grew up in California. My parents came to your country in 1964. So I was back home because I like to play rugby. So long story short, ended up in California, and Dibiase, Red Pristine. That's how I started. And first time I met Red, I was at the gym working out, and old man came to me, son, you look good, you're strong, you're big, you like wrestling. I said, wrestling? The one on TV? Yeah. I said, no, I'm not interested. Because back then, all you saw on TV, bloody, and, I was scared to death, to become a wrestler. I said, no, son, it's not that bad. I'm a promoter. So I didn't even know what promoter means, but he told me he was a promoter. So long story short, he trained us, Steam, Ultimate Warrior. We are California boys. So we are in the same stable. And, but that's how I started. Thank you.
So you all have been around the industry for a long time. In what ways has it changed during the tenure of your relationship with the industry?
Wow.
was changed considerably. When Vince McMahon basically conquered the wrestling world, I mean, there was a time way back when he went to all the promoters in what they called the territories. Minneapolis was the headquarters of the territory that was run by the Gagnes. And then Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana was Cowboy Bill Watts was the promoter there, so all these territories. Well, Vince went to all the promoters of all the territories and said, here's what I'm about to do. He said, I'm about to go nationwide with this thing. He goes, if you would like to join me, I welcome you to. Well, I think Vince kind of knew what all those promoters were going to say, because they all had their own egos and their own deal. But anyway, but that's what Vince basically did, is he took wrestling coast to coast. And I can remember WrestleMania 3, and if I'm not mistaken, it's still indoor world attendance record, 93,000 people at the Pontiac Silverdome. And where I read that, I was in Japan on a Japanese wrestling tour, and I picked a paper up over there, and WWF sets indoor attendance record. And I said right then, if I'm going to stay relative in wrestling, then I'm going to need to be working for Vince McMahon. So I came home, and one of the other guys that I was very good friends with, you guys remember him as brother-in-law, but his real name is Bruce Pritchard. And Bruce was from Houston. He and I got to be good friends there. He went and sat down and basically got a job with Vince. And so it was Bruce who contacted me in Japan, and he says, when you come back home, he says, everything's changed. And I said, what? He says, well, Bill Watts will no longer be your boss because he has sold out to Jimmy Crockett. Well, Jim Crockett was the promoter of what was considered the Charlotte territory. And he said, so that's who your boss is going to be. And he said, and so when you come back, he says, don't go on TV and certainly don't get beat by anybody on TV. He says, because Vince McMahon is extremely interested in you. And so I came home and waited for that call. Went down and sat down with Vince, and it's kind of like he laid this thing out for me. He says, "I've got this. If Vince McMahon could have been a character in his own show, he'd have been me." And he says, everybody hates somebody who, by virtue of their wealth, bullies people. And that was the essence of the $1 Million Man character. And he said, but I want you publicly to be as much like that as possible. In other words, obviously I'm not going to, insult people, but he said, you're going to fly everywhere first class, you're going to have limousine service, airport, hotel, Coliseum, hotel, airport. Everywhere the public sees you, they're going to see the appearance of wealth. And he says, I think you could be one of the hottest heels we've ever had. And I said, probably in the dressing room too, because not everybody got that treatment. Back then it was Hulk Hogan and Andre. Of course, Andre couldn't sit in the coach seat of his life depended. He barely fit in the first class seat. So that was the essence of the character, and we did a lot of right at the beginning. They did a lot of what they called vignettes, where I go to a swimming pool and I kick all the kids out because I want the pool to myself. I do another one where I kick a honeymoon couple out of the best suite in the hotel because I want the best room in the hotel, and things like that. Just to me, before I ever stepped into the ring, the people hated me because of all those vignettes they saw, and that was the whole idea. And and then the other thing was he says, I'm going to give you like your own personal valet, it's like your bodyguard, and that was Virgil, so everywhere I would go, it's like I would run my mouth off, and if anybody stepped up, I would step back and push Virgil forward. So not only was I a great big jerk, I was also a coward. Anyway, that was the essence of the character.
Thank you. Just how have things in the industry changed since you started?
Okay. Ted's answer was great, because that's exactly right what he said about all that stuff. My biggest changes I've seen is I remember when we first came to WWF, when we were there, we would only do TVs like every 3 weeks. It was all house shows back then. And so every night, people don't realize how much we traveled back then, guys. We were gone probably 25, 26 days a month. Maybe home 3 or 4 days a month. That was it. That's all you're home. Different city, different plane every day, different hotel every day, different gym, different food every single day of your life. Imagine doing it for over 300 days a year for all your career all the way through. That's a long time, guys. Very hard on your body. You're sick, you're tired, you're hurt. We didn't have doctors back then. We didn't have chiropractors back then, guys. We would take care of ourselves. Your shoulder's out, you smack it against the wall. If your back's out, maybe get there a little early, get slammed in the ring, which it hurts like hell.
Or get one of the other guys to
punch it, whatever. Yeah. Whatever you gotta do to get it back in place, and perform, But we're also smart to know that in the future, everything's going to go to TV, because that's where the money's at. TV is all money. And as you can see today, TV, it's on every single day, wrestling. Whether it be WWE, whether it be AEW, whether it be whatever it is. Even independents, some big independents. Every day is TV show someplace. It's gotten that big now. As far as the wrestling, we're more old school in characters. WWF, or my time is WWF, WWE now. But we had the greatest characters there ever were. Ted, $1 Million Man. The Sheik, he was his own character in real life. Hulk Hogan, Andre, Randy Macho Man Savage, of course. Everybody was a character. We were comic book characters brought to real life that you could touch, you could talk to, and you could be around, which is the coolest thing in the world, And our matches were done through psychology. Ted was one of the best psychology people there ever was. His psychology was incredible in the ring, guys. We just go out there and beat people up, but it was a psychology, So, and we would put a match that we would get all you people involved. You do some stuff, and you grab a great hold, and you work it, and you look at those people, and you get those people hyped up that they become a part of you in the ring. And that's what the people loved, okay? And we were great at it. Ted was great at it. So many guys were incredible at it, whereas, today, listen, the guys of today are incredible athletes. I couldn't do a lot of the crazy stuff they do in that ring. Could not. I don't care. On my best day back then. Plus, I was too damn big. But I couldn't do it. Okay. But the stuff they do now, guys, it's like everybody's trying to do a bigger move than the next guy. How do you keep getting up for these incredible moves? Some guy does it, whatever, out there, double thing, lands on the guy, and he gets up, and by the time he gets up, the other guy's up already.
Oh God, brother, you are right on there. Here's the thing that aggravates me about wrestling today. We understood. It's like when you walk into a movie, it's a movie. But if the actors are really good, they draw you into the story they're telling, and they can make you laugh, cry, get mad, the whole deal. Well, that's what wrestling used to be. We knew that the public basically knew that we were sports entertainment. But in my mind, I was going to go, they're going to think every other match they saw tonight was fake and mine was real. Because I tried to present it as realistically as possible. And it's just that's what's missing today. Every match used to tell a story of some kind. Today, it's just like these guys are bouncing around the ring. They're doing all this stuff, but it doesn't mean anything. If that makes sense to you. It's like,
And the other problem is, there, Ted, is today, you don't know half the time who's a babyface, who's a heel. Nobody wants to sell. You have to have something that's going to sell out there, so you get the people with it. Oh, you see these two guys black and white, yeah, the moves are super cool. But it's like, who's the good guy, who's the bad guy? I don't know who to clap for, who to yell at. I don't have a clue, guys. As I say, they're dynamite athletes. But there's never going to be a better time. They're from 86 to 95 in professional wrestling. The coolest guys in the world. The coolest and best guys and characters in the world were during those time slots. And I know Ted, me, Barb, we're lucky enough to be with all these great territories back then and all the big leagues back then. I mean, guys, it's the best time of your life, put it that way, the best.
Yeah, and when the travel, it was unreal. I mean, we would go out for 3 straight weeks, 21 days, 21 cities. There were mornings when I would wake up in a hotel and go, where am I? And I would look at the nameplate on the phone. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I'm in Chicago. Like, wow. And that's because we were just traveling like that. They changed it eventually. I think it got to where we would go out for 10 days, go home for 3. Then we'd go back out for 4 days and go home for 3 again. But anyway you look at it, we're off 6 days a month. That's hard on a family, for sure.
I guess if there's like a certain.
It's okay.
Every once in
Every once in a while there's one I don't care like that.
Not much. My partner, Warlord, he tells the reason we got back to WWE now, but I'm not worried. Can you tell it? Ready for the scuffle match? Yeah, everybody thought we'd run away.
Yeah, Barb's just trying to say that when Barb made the move from the NWA to WWF at that time, we were just getting ready to do the scaffold matches with the Road Warriors. God almighty, I did not want to do those scaffold matches because I knew he was going to fall down. Barb beat every single night. And sooner or later, as big as we were, you're going to get hurt. So out of the blue, Barb gives me a call on a Thursday night, and he says, WWF called me, Grizzly Adams. He gave me a call. He says he wants us to go to the airport in the morning. There's some plane tickets waiting for us in Charlotte. We're in Charlotte at that time to go down to Atlanta. And I said, okay, Barb, because we're off on that Friday, but that Saturday we're in Baltimore. So I said, okay, So I met Barb next morning in Charlotte. We fly down to Atlanta. There's a limo waiting at the airport. Takes us to a real nice hotel by the airport there, and they give us a key downstairs, We go up to the room to open the door, and sitting there was Vince McMahon, Pat Patterson, and Hulkster. It's like, oh my God, this is cool, I mean, this is awesome, So we sit down, and Barb never talked much back then, He still doesn't talk much. If you can actually get him going, he can talk. So, and I'm like, wow, after 37 years, I'm amazed, Barb. You really can talk, But, so anyway, we sit down, they go through their spiel, and they say, well, we would like you to come this next Monday. Well, we got like months of scaffold match with the Road Warriors already set up, and they want us on a Friday to be in Syracuse, New York on Monday. So I'm looking, I said, God almighty, how the heck do we do this? And Barb goes, we be there. We're gonna be there, Barb. Okay, if he says we're gonna be there, we're gonna be there, So they shook our hands. We went back to Charlotte. Now we go to Baltimore the next day, okay? And by accident, a couple months before that, I had done a match with Animal and Hawk, Barb B, and I did this big move I'd done a million times. I guess maybe with our size and that stuff. When I did it, my shoulder blade caught him in his orbital in his eye, and it broke his orbital. And I felt so bad you know, because he was, you know, the guy got me, and he was my brother, you know, and it killed me, you know. So anyway, but in the end, it worked to our advantage because we did that big bench press contest in Greensboro Coliseum. We laid the Road Warriors and Paul Ellering out. Totally. 20,000 people there. You could hear a pin drop. It was so quiet. And we just stood over them and walked out. And after that, everywhere was sold out, everywhere we went. Packed. You know? So they took, when he went to the hospital, they took all kinds of pictures to show his orbital, fix his orbital and all that stuff. So when we did this match in Baltimore that night, we had the 6-man belts at the time, Ivan Koloff, Barb, and me. And we went to the ring, and at that time, Animal wasn't there right now, he was hurt yet. So you had Hawk, you had Dusty Rhodes, and you had Paul Ellering. And they come to the ring, we're ready to start. Also, the Road Warriors music comes back on. And I'm like, why is the Road Warriors music coming back on? Well, here comes out Animal, but he's got a hockey mask on, with his face paint on it. Okay, so what the heck's Joe doing here, man? He's not supposed to be here right now, you know? Well, he comes down through there. He comes into the ring. It was going to be Hawk and Barb starting. He tags Hawk. Hawk goes out. He's ready to start with Barb. They go around a couple times. Also, he looks at the people like this. He rips the mask off. Now he's got his face paint underneath, so I guess I didn't know his orbital even healed, but it was healed. He threw it to the crowd. Guys, we didn't start that match for about 15 minutes. Those people were diving for that thing to fight. They all wanted that mask. I would have too. I wanted that mask, you know? So anyway, we do the match, we get disqualified, we get to the back, we keep the belts, and Barb grabs one can of beer, he chugs it real quick, he looks at Dusty and he goes, Dusty, we go to WWF on Monday. Dusty's jaw hit the ground. You know, I'm like, damn, Barb. that's a pretty brutal way to put it, you know?
Not a good time to bring it up.
So anyway, you know, the people hated us in Baltimore. They hated us. So wouldn't you know it, the next Saturday, we're back in Baltimore now with WWF. And now we're good guys. And the people don't know it because there's been no TV. We come in so people can't see you. Okay? So we're back and I said, Barb, I don't know if this is gonna be good, man. They're gonna hate us out there. You know, so anyway, Demolition was bad at that time with Fuji. And they had the belts. They go to the ring. All of a sudden they put our music on. We come through and the people went nuts. They wanted to marry us now. The week before, they want to put us in a kettle and cook you. Tonight, they want to hook you by the arm and dance with you all night long. I'm like, Barb. I said, man, only in professional wrestling this can really happen. You know, this is wild, man, you know. I really thought they were gonna hate us. They loved us, you know, but I mean, that was an awesome way to come to WWF, guys. It really was. Super cool way.
Excellent. Thank you for those stories. I want to give the audience some chance to ask a couple questions too, so I'm going to hop down there and any questions for us? Yes.
Who are some of your favorite opponents that you had in the ring, or house shows or otherwise?
Wow. 20 years. Okay. Actually, the first time that I ever wrestled Randy Savage was the main event at WrestleMania 4. Before that day, we had never been in the ring together at all. And we tore the house down. So, I thoroughly enjoyed wrestling Savage whenever I could. I mean, and even, and I also liked working with Hogan. You know why? When I worked with him, I was going to make the big money. But another guy who has been heel and babyface, good guy, bad guy, but very much that I enjoy working with is Jake the Snake. Yeah, he's one of my favorites.
Yeah, as far as Barb and me, for tagging, definitely the Road Warriors. I mean, they're the goats of wrestling. No one's ever going to be as great as those guys. They changed tag team wrestling, those two guys. Demolition, of course, great guys. I think they still hold the record for having a tag team belt as long as there's ever been in WWE, which that's amazing, you know. And the Rockers guys, those boys could fly. We could throw them and they would just grab a little goddamn parachute, put it on and fly down back to the ring. I mean, those guys could fly, you know. As far as singles for me, you know, British Bulldog, no question. I love Davey Boy. Davey Boy was a great wrestler for as big as he was still agile, and I'll tell you what, he was a Hulk Hogan of Europe. I mean, he got what Hulk gets in the States and Europe. They loved him in Europe. Even in where was that? Ireland, where Belfast, they had a chant for him. I thought they hated the English. They had a chant for Davey. He went to the ring and said, man, this isn't right, man. You're supposed to like me, not him. He's English, guys. He's English, you know. But they loved him, man. So I guess I was the goddamn bad guy, you know. And then, of course, working with Bret Hart. If you could not have a match with Bret Hart, you shouldn't be in the business. You should just say, right then, I'm done.
Thank you, because Bret Hart was another one. The first time that Bret and I ever wrestled each other, it was what they call it. They call them matches for Coliseum Video. They weren't like a regular TV match. So Bret and I mean, this is the first time that he and I ever wrestled. It was in Odessa, Texas, and we were going to do it what we call a 20-minute Broadway. We're going to go 20 minutes, and then nobody's going to win. And then it's like, you know, the bell rings at the end, and it's just kind of like two gunslingers. I'll see you next time, Val. But when he got in the back, Pat Patterson, who I have the world of respect for because of his knowledge of the business, he was going crazy. He says, gosh, you know, you guys been working a lot together, right? And we looked at each other and said, no, Pat, that's the first time we ever had a match. What it was is we both came from wrestling backgrounds. You know, my dad was a wrestler. You know, gosh, you know, Bret's dad was owner of a territory. But we both grew up in the wrestling business and basically had the same psychology of wrestling. And I think that's why we work so well together.
Yeah, of course. Road Warrior, Demolition. But in my opinion, the dream match, I would love to face off with Arn and Tully. Yeah, Arn and Tully. Yeah. We never worked before, but I would love to. You know, you have a match with Arn and Tully. But that's my dream match. Thank you. Oh, of course. No one like not us, no one else. Yeah, bless their heart. Thank you.
What was it like working with Virgil?
Well, okay, Virgil, whose real name was Mike Jones. He was really a pretty nice guy, and obviously, you know, just by looking at him, you can tell that he was very disciplined about, you know, keeping his body in shape because he had a great physique. But it's kind of like, you know, there's you knock on the door but nobody's home. Sometimes it was like that because, like, you know, Virgil could accidentally, it's like, you know, like you're at the wrong place at the right time, or you're at the right place at the wrong time, and it was just, and eventually, this was from the beginning. The plan was, you know, because, you know, like I abuse everybody, even the guy that's my right-hand man. And so eventually, you know, Virgil's going to get tired of me bossing him around. And we did the deal where I told him, pick that lift up. And you know, he picks it up and hits me with it. we ended up only having one match. And the reason we only had one match is because he just wasn't there. You know, you had to spoon feed him everything. But other than that, I mean, seriously, other than that, you know, he was a really nice guy.
You know, Ted's lucky. He only had one match. I'd have 7 in Europe with him. Yeah. Guys, listen, we all love Virgil. He had a good heart, okay? Like Ted, you know, he would overdo everything. Like with our match, he'd sit back there, Warlord, you know, blah, 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 blah. Like half an hour, I'm sitting there like, man, I'm tired, man. I'm ready to take a nap, you know, listen to this. I said, you're going through 30 minutes of stuff, and we're going to do about a minute worth of stuff. I said, come on, Virg. I said, just go out there, let's take care of it, that stuff, you know. And let me tell you guys, it was the worst matches I ever had in my entire life. I tried so hard, so much, there's only so much you can do. And listen, I still love the guy and that stuff, you know, and I'm sad that he's gone now. I really am, you know, because that just recently happened. You know, he's one of our brothers, and God forbid we've had enough of our brothers die already, you know. But, you know, he would just, Virgil, like we were saying, Virgil's a character. He really was. Virgil was, he was his own character.
We have time for one more question. I need from the center. Oh.
I just want to say thank you guys for all you've done for us. And as you said, you're like superheroes made flesh. And I couldn't say it better. And growing up and experiencing that, good or bad, it was wonderful. And we just appreciate everything you've done and sacrificed for all of us over the years. And my one question is, what do you have a passion mostly about now? I mean, other than the still the wrestling, do you guys have other dreams and hopes you're still doing out there? And it'd be awesome to know, and if there's anything we can keep that going for you guys.
Well, you know, it's going to seem like a huge jump, and it is a huge jump from being on TV for years as this money-hungry, you know, $1 million man. I'm an ordained minister, and I travel around the country, speak in churches all the time. So, you know, if you can do anything, just remember me in your prayers, because that's what I do a lot now.
Amen.
So,
You know, it's good because, you know, Ted's one of the few that has something to fall back on that he loves to do. And that's a very important thing because, you know, there's going to become a day when everybody that you're on top of the world for wrestling, but someday you're not going to be there. You have to have something back there that you go back on. You know, I've been lucky enough that when I saw that 2001, what happened with the World Trade Center, I said right away, security's going to be a big business. It's going to be a very big business in this country. And I started getting into security and doing all different kinds of things, you know, and now, you know, I'm at my age, I'm lucky. I got a great job that pays very, very well. You know, I can take care of my family very well. Everything I own is paid for, you know, at my age and that stuff, which I'm happy, you know. And also, you know, I got a wife that's Filipino, and I got to take care of her whole family in the Philippines.
Same here.
Because as you know, in World War II, MacArthur, when he went back to the Philippines, said, if you get involved with a Filipino, you better take care of their family.
Right.
He should have told me that a long time. I wasn't born at that time, you know. So they all got their hands out, uncle, you know, all the time, you know. But it is what it is, guys. If I can help them, I do it all the time because it gives them a better living over there and that stuff, you know. And it means, and I'm do well enough that I can do all that, which is a great thing to do in that stuff, you know. And you know, as Ted, Barb, me, also, guys. As great as we can be in wrestling and be a character or a superstar in wrestling, we need somebody out there to make us who we are. Because we can't do that.
without you.
You know, Barb can walk around, we're just two big guys, you know. Ted, minister. But with all you people right here and all the millions around the world that have watched wrestling that we've been around all these years, without you guys, we're nothing. And with all you, it makes us who we are. It makes him the Barbarian, it makes me the Warlord, and it makes him the $1 Million Man, Ted Dibiase. And that means a lot to you guys, and we thank and we love you for that, guys. Just remember, everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man. Hey, he even bought us when he took on Hogan, Demolition and Jake the Snake in the was that big show in Chicago, right? Yeah. So, and that was awesome, man. That was one of my funnest matches ever in a pay-per-view, man. I had so much fun that day.
Yeah, thank you, $1 Million Man. So about myself, I come from a big family. 7 kids, 15 grandkids.
I got 8 grandkids.
Kids, yeah. Together.
It's funny because Barmy are still lucky enough that we have our help. We still step in the ring, guys. We still do independent shows. And people are amazed. We wrestle the guys we're wrestling. They don't even have a kid amongst them. And Barmy has, we got 23 grandkids. I look at the guys and say, guys, we got 23 grandkids. They're looking like, God, we don't even have a kid yet, man. So, we're blessed, and of course Ted, that we all still have our health. Ted's 70 now, guys. I mean, in wrestling years, that's probably about 105. It really is. It's about 105 years. It really is, But, we're all blessed that we can still be here, we can still walk. We're not hunched over. That we just keep going, guys, and we can go out and do this kind of stuff week in and week out. We're gonna meet all the people that have followed us all these years, and and try to give you guys something back for everything you've been watching us and being our fans, man. It's an awesome thing, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for sharing this time with us, for sharing your stories, your perspectives, your words of wisdom, and thank you for visiting us at the con. So you'll still be at your table for a couple more hours. So,
Yes.
Yep. So please feel free to come back by their table and meet our guests. Thank you all for coming to the panel, and have a wonderful rest of your con.
Thank you.
Thank you.